Hello, in this video, we're going to learn a new topic, very important topic, which will be called modules in Python. Very important topic, but first write down what is the definition of modules. Let me see if I'm recording. Yeah. So the definition of modules is it's basically a separate Python file which will contain a list of functions and variables which can be used in other Python files or other applications. So the first step you want to do in creating a module is create a new Python file. So step one, go to File, create a new file. Let's say Python file, and start the same way. Say your name, email, date, and write down this is your first module that you make. Okay. And in this module, there'll be a collection of functions and variables. So let's define our first function, which just prints something basic. So let's say print underscore name, and say the variable is name, and it just prints whatever the name is. Or let's give the name entered is comma name. So this function basically prints whatever you give as a argument when you call the function print underscore name. Let's define another function, say, which prints just the last name, and say same thing, give a parameter here, and then just print the last name is comma last name. Okay, so basically you've created a first module. We didn't save it, so save this file. Now remember, save this file in the same place where your Python codes are, or in week 5 folder, or the folder that we've made. And let's call this module 1. There's another module over there, but let's call it module 1 and save it. So this will be the first module that you made, which has got 2 functions. And remember, this is a separate Python file. So then we can save this and close this. Or let's keep it open. And what you can do is go back to another Python file where you want to use these functions. So these functions are made somewhere else, but now you want to make a new Python file and use these functions in there. So what you do is, the first thing to do is you have to call the module into your file, and you do that using the import keyword. So the next topic is how to call the module, or how to import the module. And to import the module, what you need to do is say import and the name of the module. So all you have to say is import module 1. Remember, this is module 1 that you've made. So now everything that is in this module can be used here. So now basically write down how to use the functions which are in a separate module. So right now the next topic is, the next subtopic is how to use the functions from another module. So what you have to do is you have to write down the name of the module. So look at it, automatically it's finding the module because now the module is in your file. And say, for example, we want to use the print name function. So what we can do is put a dot and write down the name of the function. So write on the name of the function here was print underscore name. Then all you have to do is in brackets give the name. Let's give a name, say Richmond. So now what happens is in your separate file, you're calling the module and using the print name function. So in this file, we haven't defined a function at all. All we are doing is using a function in a separate file. So now if I run this, hopefully no errors. And look at this, the name entered is Richmond. So this file is using this module and using this function. Let's try to use the second one the same way. So all you have to do is say module1 dot, what was the function name? Print underscore last name, and let's say university. And we can comment this out so it doesn't run again. So now if you run this, the output should be the last name is, look at this, the last name is university. So pretty amazing property where you can use a set of different functions in a different file in your own file using the import module keywords. Okay, so now we saw how to use import module, but what if you don't want to keep writing module1 dot every time? So write down there's a second way to import the module. So this was the first method. Now the second method to import a module will be, you say import module1, but then you'll give a small alphabet or something so that you can just use a small alphabet. So you can say import module1 as, let's call it M1. So now instead of module1, the module1 will be recognized as M1. So all you have to do is, just like you did module1 here, you just have to say M1.print last name. So now M1 has become module1. So this makes it a lot easier to code. So now if I run this, look at this, we get the same output, but instead of module1, we are saying M1, and this is like the standard way a lot of modules are being used. One important one is, we'll see in a separate video how it's called pandas package, which is used as import pandas as PD. But we'll see that in a separate video. But for now, remember, if you want to use a small alphabet for your module, you just have to say import module1 as M1 or M2 or just M and so on. So let's try with the print name. You can say M1 dot print underscore name, and you can say London, right? Just like we did before, we said Richmond, but instead we're saying M1 dot print underscore name. And now if I run this, the output will be, the name entered is London, right? So beautiful. Module1 has become M1. Okay, let's do a bit more. Let's modify our module a bit more. So we saw this with functions. Let's see the next topic, how to use, say, variables. So we saw functions. So now see how to use variables from a module. So let's define variables here. Now, the way we define variables here will be called dictionary. Now, we haven't learned dictionary in detail, which we will later on, but for now, write down to define a dictionary, this is what you do. You give a name to a dictionary, so let's call it variable1. You say equals, and you open the curly brackets. And in here, you can define a list of variables like we used to. So let's do the first one. let's say name, and you don't say equals at this point, you say colon, and double quotes, you say whatever the name was. So let's say London. Okay, then so this becomes your first variable, name London. Let's do a second variable, numeric, let's say age. Let's say age of a student or something. Okay, the error here is before you define a new variable, you need to put a comma here. So if you put a comma here, it understands that's the end of this variable. Then you say age, and then give a number. Now remember, when you give a number, you don't have to put double quotes. We can just say 18. Let's do one more. We can say country. Country. And double quotes, we can say England. Okay, so this becomes a dictionary, which we'll learn in detail a bit more. This dictionary contains these three variables, which is in module 1.py. So now we will see how to use these variables in a separate Python file. So the first thing again is we're restarting. So all you have to do is first you need to import the module. Let's import it as M1, just like before. And now to use the variables from there, we've seen how to use the functions, but to use the variables, you have to do it the same way. You have to say M1 dot and give the name of the dictionary. So you say M1.var1, and in close brackets, in double quotes, you have to give the name of the variable. And then what you can do is save this variable in another variable and print this variable. So you can say print, the name is, comma, Z. So what happens here is, first we import the module. So we import everything which is here in here. And then inside the Z variable or the Z variable, we save whatever was stored in name in module 1. So now if we print this, the name is Z. The answer should be the name is London. Let's hope it works. So now if I run this, okay, the output is the name is London. Pretty amazing. What we did was we used a variable which was defined in a separate file, which is a module now, to be used in your own Python file. Okay, so this is how you will use the variables. We can use the other one as well and try. If I say age here, you can see the ages. So if I try and run this, the answer should be the age is 18, just like age was 18 here. And you can try for country as well. You can do a lot more with this. We'll see as we go, but this is the basics of how to use a module. Now, there is one more way to use the module, which is, what if you just want so you don't want everything from in here. You don't want everything from in here. Okay, you want just a part of it. So for example, say you only need the dictionary here. Okay, you don't need any of the other things from this module. So what in that case, the way to do that is you will have to say from, so you'll have to start with from, give the name of the module. So you'll have to say from module 1, which is this file. Then you'll have to say import and whatever you want to import. So let's get the variables now. So you say import var1. Just doing space here maybe. Okay, so you'll say from module 1 import var1, and then we do the same thing. We say z equals, we save the properties from there here. We say var1 then open and close bracket, and in double quotes you say age. And then you print the same way. You say age is, comma, z. So what we did was we did not import the entire module, but from the module we only imported just the dictionary. So now see what happens. Look at that, we get the same output, the age is 18. So just like this, there are a lot of modules that you can use in Python. And we'll see as we go how to make the use of this. Very important topic, modules in Python. This was just the basic. We'll do more as we go. Now watch these videos and then do the practice, which I'll put on Blackboard. Hopefully it recorded well. I'm going to stop recording.